people another minute to jump in. I think we were going to ask a question in the chat as people were getting on. Tell me, as you're coming on, tell me, where have you traveled this summer, or where do you plan to travel this summer? Just drop it in the chat, where your travel plans are taking you for the summer. I love it. Argentina, that sounds like a fantastic trip. We've had national parks in Washington. Colorado. Michelle and Yaicha, they came pretty close to you. Key West. I spent time in Japan earlier, which was fantastic. Any other travels this summer?
I think I figured it out.
Ireland and Scotland? An Alaska cruise. Oh, that sounds amazing. Maine for cooler weather. Sandra, I get it. Barcelona, Provence, Sorrento, Rome, Greece, London, Paris. Lots of fantastic trips here for the summer. Well, we'll keep looking at those to see where people have traveled. I'll tell you, travel is my passion, and I love talking to others about where they've traveled, so I know what to put next on my list. So Portugal, so there's some great places here. Well, I want to welcome everyone. My name is Brenda Knowles, and I am on the board of WIFI, Women in the Flooring Industry, and we're just so grateful to have your time today and for today's Power Hour. And just a little bit about WIFI's mission. So WIFI is, again, Women in the Flooring Industry. It's a 501c3 organization, so an educational nonprofit. And our mission is to attract, educate, and empower women in the flooring industry. Our board of directors, you can see on the next page, it crosses companies and different parts of our industry. So we have lots of different groups from the industry represented here, and just so grateful for this group's time and commitment into the success of WIFI. And I'm going to ask everyone, if you will, just mute yourselves. We do want to take questions throughout the session, and we'll ask you to put those in the chat. But again, these are our board members. This Power Hour is a product of our professional development committee, and you see the people from the different parts of the industry participating in the professional development. We are, again, a 501c3, and we are very grateful to our corporate friends and corporate donors. And then certainly there's the opportunity for individual donors as well. And we all encourage you to take a look at that opportunity. But thank you so much to all of these corporate members or corporate friends, corporate donors who make all that we do possible. There's so many ways to engage in WIFI. Here you see a highlight on our mentoring program. It's a match designed for professional and personal growth. There's a six-month commitment. We have a cohort in session now. It's actually our fourth cohort with 55 participants, and our next cohort starts in the first quarter of 2026. So this has been a very successful program for people throughout the organization. One of my favorites is the scholarship program that we have in place. And the scholarship program is really intended to support women in their professional development, whether that's through continuing education. It certainly has funded college and university programs or courses. Details are on the website, but we just most recently in June announced the WIFI Award for this year, with 16 recipients, with a total of $30,000 for post-secondary education and continuing education. Feel free to go on and check out the program on the website. Details of how to apply are there, so take a look at that. And then we have several other upcoming events, again, opportunities for engagement. Wi-Fi hosts many things, breakout sessions at major industry events, workshops, panel discussions, a lot of opportunity for networking and promotional growth. Some of the events that we have coming up, we have this Power Hour today. We have another one scheduled for August 18th, which is our next one, and it is focused on Spotlight Your Superpower, and Whitney Welch will be leading that. On September 3rd, there's a Low Country Boil, which is a fundraiser, and I'll get to that in a moment. And then in September at the Synergy Convention, there is a breakout session there. But I mentioned that we talked just a little bit more about the Low Country Boil. We're very excited about it. Everyone is welcome. It is here in Georgia, so anyone who is not from this area, we welcome you to travel and join us here in Northwest Georgia for this networking event and fundraiser. Everyone's welcome, whether you're already a part of Wi-Fi or want to support the industry. People ask me often, do you have to be a woman in the flooring industry? You certainly can. That's the primary audience, but we welcome anyone who believes in empowering women in our industry, and would be excited for all of you to join us. So tickets are available on our website, which is there, womeninflooring.org, and there will be swag bags available as always, which make it fun. So hopefully we'll see many of you there. And then again, we're here for the Power Hour. You can find Power Hours and other upcoming events and all the information about Wi-Fi at womeninflooring.org. So go ahead and take a look at that and get involved. We're excited to have you. So why are we here today? We really want to welcome our featured guest today, Michelle Meyer, who is the CEO of AFS in Denver, and Yaicha Schuneman, who is the COO for AFS in Denver. And Michelle and Yaicha are really going to join us today in a very rich dialogue, a great conversation about talent and teamwork and how they've built their business and differentiated their business maybe in this industry some, and how they approach talent. 80% of their organization is made up of women. So that's a pretty high percent when you think about the flooring industry and what they've done. And they're going to share a lot of how they've done that and how it differentiates them and adds value in the industry to their clients, to their customers, and to their business themselves. Just a little bit about them. So Michelle, just looking at her bio, she lives to connect the dots and make industry connections. So she is a connector of people. She says that she finds the hunt the exciting part, and turning over every stone is what gets her up in the morning. Michelle has over 34 years of experience in business, 16 of those in the commercial as a commercial furniture account manager. She has time as an architectural representative, and then 16 years specifically in commercial flooring. She's used her design degree to guide her in the commercial finishes arena, and now as the CEO and owner of Advanced Flooring Solutions, she finds joy in passing along opportunities to her talented team. AFS is a team-oriented group, and they do things a little different in their business than maybe the rest of the industry. And we'll get to hear a little bit more about that. So welcome, Michelle. And then Yaicha, a little bit about Yaicha. Yaicha is a strategist, a number cruncher, and a people developer. I love the combination of those. Yaicha is the chief operating officer, and she plays a pivotal role in shaping AFS budget and growth strategy, optimizing revenue, growing assets, and streamlining the financial operations. She does lead the company-wide initiatives implementing smart business practices, and championing cost saving measures, always turning strategic vision into measurable results. And her leadership extends beyond the numbers. She is committed to developing talent, which is why she's here today, fostering strong teams, and cultivating a culture of accountability where collaboration thrives and excellence is the standard. So she is the behind the scenes force, really focused on the big picture outcomes. So welcome, Michelle and Yaicha. We were
Thank you.
looking at some of the travel things travels that people have had over the summer. You both just got back from a trip. Yasha, you just returned from Paris. How was Paris?
Amazing. I had never been, and I went with a girlfriend, and we just had the most amazing time walking around and drinking champagne, seeing all of the Paris sights. So it was a fantastic time, and really was able to take a step back and be rejuvenated to come back to work.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's been a long time since I've been to Paris. I will look forward to seeing your photos at some point. And Michelle, while this was a work trip, hopefully it's still rejuvenated a little bit. But you and I just had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time in Park City. So,
We did. It
um,
was wonderful.
yeah, we had a great time. I don't know about you. I just got back yesterday. I think you went back home on Wednesday. And I'll tell you, here in the Southeast, the humidity was a shock after being in that beautiful dry weather of Park City. But wonderful views. If there were ever a place to sit in a conference room with the doors open, letting the outside air in, it was in Park City, right?
Absolutely. I was lucky enough while we were in the meetings to be facing out. So I was getting to see all the magic. So
Oh,
it was
that's
wonderful.
that's fantastic. And I appreciated the time that I got to spend with you there. I always come away inspired by you and all that you're doing in your business. So, well, let's get straight to some of the questions that we wanted to talk about. Um, I'll start with kind of what brought you each to the flooring industry. We kind of heard your backgrounds and where you came from, but what brought you to the flooring industry? Just share a bit about your career path and maybe any professional milestones that helped you along the way. Michelle, let's start with you.
I was in the commercial furniture industry for quite some time, and had the opportunity to work with a gentleman who owned AFS at the time, who I became friends with, and we worked really closely together, and realized that we could sell furniture and flooring to nearly anyone if we worked as a team and shared our contacts. And he had always said, "Oh, someday you'll come work at AFS." And I would just smile and think, okay, well, I'm having so much fun doing what I'm doing. And then that day came after I had my second baby and was looking to do something maybe a little bit different, a little less travel, and he reached out. So I joined AFS as a business development person, and kind of at the worst time, actually, in 2009 when the economy crashed. So I got to do BD for a few weeks when he said, go out and sell something. Like you have to just bring stuff in. So that was kind of my entree. But I'm like, I know nothing about flooring. And he was like, well, you know people, you know how to find the opportunities. So I dove in, and the rest has kind of been history. The company has changed a lot since I joined. We were almost all men at that time, and now we're almost all women, which didn't happen on purpose. It's just the people that entered the industry um, were right for our company. So it's been really fun to see the transition of just the whole industry in a whole. I think there's so many more opportunities for women now than there were. Um, so it's exciting to be part of all of the change that's happening in our industry.
That's great, Michelle. And I know you said moving from an almost all male organization to an almost all female organization may not have been intentional, but it is very unique still in our industry. And I think it's about the culture that you've really created there. So thank you for your leadership there. Yesha, would you share a little bit about how you got to this industry?
Yeah, so I was also recruited by our former owner. I've been with AFS for over 10 years, but I was a Starbucks manager. I was running one of the busiest Starbucks stores in Denver, and I was finishing my degree in accounting. So I was getting ready to wrap up my career as a Starbucks manager. I knew it was time to make a change. So um, our former owner was a regular at my store and knew that that's what I was doing. And he had an opening for an accounting manager at AFS. So I took the leap and made a huge career change from slinging coffee to slinging carpet, and came to AFS and was the accounting manager. While I was the accounting manager, I was able to continue school and I got my master's in accounting as well. So I always kind of loved the numbers aspect of running a business, but I also had that operational acumen from running that Starbucks. So that really allowed me to grow within the company. And it has taken a little time to learn the business. There's so many aspects of flooring. Um, and learn something new every day. Things are changing so fast. So it was just a really great opportunity to come in, learn something new, and continue to develop my career and continue to move up within a company.
It's exciting. You may think sometimes that you can't transfer from coffee to flooring, but you have
Yeah.
proven that you can do that successfully.
Yeah, and we always talk about like we sell a commodity. So as long as you can learn how to sell that commodity, they're all the same. So it's customer experience, doing what you do really well, ensuring you've trained your employees. Um, the skills are very transferable regardless of what you're selling.
Fantastic. As someone who leads customer experience and has that in my title, I appreciate your focus on that, Yaicha. Thank
Yeah.
you. We mentioned milestones, and you both talked about your how you came to AFS and how you've grown since then. You mentioned the previous owner, and Michelle, I know you are CEO now. So talk about that transition for a moment.
Yeah, it was a long one. I've been at AFS for 17 years. And as I started moving up, we had a small, I'll call it leadership team, but that may be like a stretch of what we had meetings about what we wanted to do. Um, but I had the opportunity years ago to buy into the company. Um, I laugh now, but it was maybe one of my proudest moments. I bought 1/4 of a share of the company. So I had some skin in the game. And I was so proud that I was part owner of something. It really was a life-changing moment. Like, I have something to focus on. Now I want more of this. I want it to be more successful. So being able to do that was exactly what I needed to push myself to keep working and make the company grow and change the direction and all those things. So over the years, I've been able to buy as other partners have left. And am really proud to be a woman-owned organization. I think that speaks volumes in our market and across the country because there aren't that many women-owned flooring dealers. So I'm really proud that Yesha and I are doing this. Like I keep saying, just a little bit different. Like we don't know exactly what that means, but we know that we are doing
Yeah,
it differently
yeah.
and providing a platform for women to be successful in construction.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I think it does show that sometimes it's the small steps that add up to big milestones, right? And that's how you drove that. So thank you for sharing that. We talk about talent and bringing people into the organization and how it's changed over the years since both of you have joined it. I know hiring sometimes is a challenge. I'd love to hear from both of you. What has worked well for you in finding great new team members? Are there certain things you look for in skill sets or behaviors or work ethics that have just been really successful for you in your business? And are there any creative approaches that you've taken to bringing in new people who may not have a background working in flooring, like coffee shops or something else? So Michelle, let's just continue with you first um, on this topic of bringing in new people.
Yeah, most of our team is made up from people who have never been in the flooring business, which we think is a plus. It takes a little longer to get going, but the skill that they bring from being in an outside industry, sometimes an adjacent industry, brings value to our company. Every time someone joins us, they add something else that was success that made them successful in their last place that we might not have been doing. Like we had someone join us who was a lead consultant, and they were heavier in technology. So she was like, could we do this? And of course, Yesha's like, let me find out. Yes, we can do it. So we love learning from the people that we bring on. But I also think that we find people who will fit our culture. um, and the last person that joined us is from an electrical contractor. And we found her just from being in a leads group saying, we have an opening. This is what we're looking for. And someone referred her to us because they said she would be great for our culture and she's really good at her job. And I was like, okay, that's wonderful. So she joined the team. I think we're always just spreading the word when there is an opening, or building even a virtual bench. Like we don't have openings right now, but we know there's some good people out there that hopefully could join us when the time is right. Um, because I do think that having people from outside the flooring business makes us stronger.
So, two things I took from what you said, or two of the things I took, I should say, because there was a lot of really good there. But one was you talked about learning from the new people. So, leadership is not supposed to have all the answers, right? It's how we bring the right teams together to be successful. And I love your passion for continual learning, um, which even from new people in the industry. And the other thing is you talked about culture, and that's what you look for. Yasha, what's your philosophy on culture and other things that you're looking for from new people on the team?
Yeah. Yeah. So Michelle and I take it very seriously that you don't have to have been in flooring to be successful, since we are definite examples of that. So when we're looking for people, we're really looking for attitude. Construction is a stressful, can be high pressure. So we want to ensure that we have the right people on our team that are able to maintain cool and handle those high pressure situations effectively. We really are um, interested in making sure that we have people that have good attention to detail, a high work ethic, because those soft skills are really hard to train. We can train anyone on those hard skills. We've implemented processes and programs to help ensure that our training is good, especially for a small company. We have a training program, which we're very proud of. For a company with 15 employees, I would say that is not always the case. So we're really looking for someone that fits our culture, and we can train them all of the other things that they need to know. We do know that it is a bit longer of an on-ramp process. We tell some of our newer employees that, like, it may take a year before they really are feeling super confident on every single thing. But we set that expectation, and there isn't an expectation that you're ready to rock and roll the day you start, because we know that we need to train to ensure we have great employees and a great
Yeah.
team.
So I love that focus on training and development as someone is coming into the industry and into your company. But let's talk about how you support them for ongoing development and growth. How do you ensure that your associates feel confident and ready to grow? Can you give an example maybe of how you've helped someone on your team develop? Yasha, let's just continue with you first.
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time investing in our team, we ensure that we have ongoing regular trainings. We do regular lunch and learns. We have external people come out and train. We have regular one-on-ones with all of our team members as well as our teams, to ensure that we're all understanding what the expectations are and celebrating successes, but also holding people accountable when we know that there's areas that they can be better in, because we know that they're better and can improve on things.
That's great. Michelle, what's your thought on kind of supporting them as they're learning and growing?
I think it's recognizing that this is a really hard industry, and it's okay to be frustrated, and it's okay that it takes a while for, we say, the light bulb to come on, but people will be like, I was doing this, and then at a year, I understood why I was doing it. And there's this like sense of accomplishment. And we really enjoy when people walk into our office and be like, oh my gosh, this makes so much more sense now. But you have to just get through those things. I think Yesh and I both try to be really supportive, because there are days that are really hard when it's stressful on a job site, and to let people know that it's going to be okay. Tomorrow's a new day. Um, and just, keep trying and keep being your best. Lots of pep talks,
That's
which I'm
great.
sure is the same in every industry, but we really mean it. We're like, but then when you do one thing good and you get that one compliment, and you're hooked, and you have that customer for life, and they know that, you made it through the storm, you got to the other side, and the project turned out wonderfully. And that's that. Once you feel good about that, then it all makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a lot of support, a lot of kind of putting things in context of seeing the big picture. And you talked about, you get that compliment or that customer, you see the fruition of, the outcome of the project. And I've heard you also talk about celebrating the big and the small, right? So, what role does that play?
Well, we are a little old school, and we have a bell in her office. So whenever anyone closes a deal, they get up and ring the bell, and then we all like celebrate, and it's very fun. And it's funny because the new people who join want to ring the bell. And
I
they're like,
love
well,
it.
how big does the job have to be to ring the bell? I'm like, if you sell one box of carpet tile and you're new, go ring the bell. Like it's very important. And people really are happy in our organization when another person gets a job. It's much less competitive than it had been historically, where people would change the names of jobs, or do all these things to compete with people in the office. And we don't have that at all. Like, everyone is proud to celebrate when someone wins.
Because you're all one team and you're all moving toward the same outcomes for the business, right? That's
Absolutely.
what it sounds like. And I love the bell. I love the bell. I've had the opportunity to visit your office and I remember that bell and just those celebrations. So that's fantastic. Um, I think all of us can take so much from that because it's so easy to get wrapped up in that next thing that has to be done and that next challenge that comes our way that sometimes we forget to stop and celebrate. And that's just so motivational, right, for the whole team, and it does communicate we're doing this as a team. So uh, that's really inspirational there. So how do you spot potential? You bring new people in. How do you spot potential? And what's your approach to developing them for the long term? Um, have you had moments where someone surprised you in how they stepped up into a new role? Michelle, continue with you.
um Yeah, I feel like it's a gut thing when you meet someone. We've already established that they don't have to be from flooring, so we think that they are amazing in whatever industries they've been in. But you can usually see pretty quickly when people are taking on things without being asked. Like, hey, can I expense this? I want to attend this event because I heard this was happening. So taking the initiative to do things either in the industry, or also because they're outside the industry, things that we wouldn't have known about. A couple girls in the office went to an event last week it was put on by a bunch of general contractors, and they went as a team. And one of them said, "Wow, we made a splash." Like four of us walking in, there were hardly any women there, and they were able to go around and meet with contractors who maybe we had been budgeting to, but haven't made a personal connection. So I think people just having the initiative to do just those little things makes such a huge difference in their career and allows them to build those relationships faster. Um, so I think that that definitely helps, and we support that, but also just within the organization, even if you're not in a sales role, moving from one position to another, I think people want to do that because they see what the other person is doing. So again, it's just that whole team work that seems to work.
That's fantastic. Yasha, what do you look for in identifying potential?
Yeah, I look for people that are taking the initiative to do things that might not be necessarily part of their role, asking really great questions on things that they don't understand. That shows me that they have an interest in learning more and are willing to maybe try something new to develop and grow in their role. I think that is really important. People that are really great team players and are willing to help other team members out, especially
Mm,
um, it's amazing when we have a new team member and some of our employees just hop in and help to start training them without even being asked. That is something that I makes me so happy when I see that happening, because we know that all of the people on our team want our new people to be successful, to because it is such a team environment. Um, so once I see that people are willing to do that, it's really important to me to make sure that we're continuing to challenge those employees and help them push them outside of their comfort zone, because that is not always easy to try something new and know that like you might
mm.
not be the best at it right away, but the only way to get better is to do it and to practice and to learn. So I think that's the thing that I look for most, and it makes me so happy when I see our employees try something new and are successful and are able to move up into to different roles within our company.
That's fantastic. You both talked about taking initiative, and it sounds like you're just such a learning organization and willing to support people taking on new things and new challenges. So that's great. We've got some more questions that we're going to talk through, but just a reminder to the audience, if you have specific questions that you would like to ask of Michelle and Yesha, just type those in the chat, and we'll get to those here in just a couple minutes. Um, so let's talk about just some real world takeaways. What is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is really working to build a stronger and more successful team, or be a member of that team, or just, general advice as you think about talent and teamwork? Michelle?
Oh gosh. I think just be open um, to all the possibilities, to anyone's background, what that might look like. Be supportive, um, because it is a really challenging industry. And the sky's the limit on what you can do and the team that you can build. And open communication always.
Fantastic. Yesha, what advice would you give?
I would say that the greatest piece of advice is um, setting the tone for what you want for the team and setting clear expectations as to what is the team going to accomplish, what do we want to accomplish, and how do we get there, and ensuring that there are checkpoints along the way to ensure you're meeting those milestones and celebrating the successes of the team as you achieve those milestones. Like Michelle said, I think it's really important in flooring. People are like, oh, you're in flooring, but people don't recognize that this is such a fantastic career and a great industry, and there are so many opportunities for women to be successful. And I love when we go to job sites. There's a couple of GCs in Colorado that are primarily women, and just seeing that there are those opportunities for women in construction and flooring, and we are able to kind of set our own destiny with, building teams, creating a great career for ourselves. It's just a really great career.
Fantastic. No, I
Brenda,
think
I'd love
about,
to add
yeah,
to that if
yeah,
possible,
please.
on the partnering with the general contractors, since we have a lot of women on the call. We have seen our business grow uh, in so many ways, not just by what we're selling, but working with those teams of women at the other general contractors are naturally just drawn to our team. So the synergy between that has been amazing to watch, top to bottom.
I love that bit of differentiation that you're able to leverage. And that kind of connects to another question that I had. And you may have more to add, or you may say, oh, that was exactly what we just talked about. But our industry still is, or women are still relatively underrepresented in the industry as a whole, in the construction industry specifically. So, how have you found success in making your voice heard?
I can answer that. I think
Yeah.
confidence and kind of like owning the room, knowing that what I have to say is just as important as everyone else in the room, and we are just as equipped to do the job. So I think just having that confidence and being able to say, I deserve to be here, I think is a huge thing. Um,
That's
yeah.
great. That's great. Michelle, anything you would add?
Yeah, I would chime in on all those things. And probably the thing that we are both so proud of is our team is so talented and really good at what they do. So you may go to a job site and be challenged, and then it is just dismissed because we know what we're doing. We have a team to back it up. So just taking away all of those naysayers, we get a lot of those girls. What are they doing? And we use that as power
I
every
love
day, and
that.
we laugh when we hear it. But we're like, yeah, what are those girls doing? I don't
I
know.
love
So
that.
yeah,
I,
it's
I
fun.
love what you said. I mean, Yasha, you talked about confidence, and Michelle, you talked about using that as power. If your voice is maybe being discounted, use that as power to demonstrate, right? And use that as power in the industry. So I love that thought. There's one question that's coming through the chat that I thought I'd throw out to you. Are there any books that you and your team read to help shape your culture and expectations? And that may be books, maybe podcasts. Are there things that you share with your team as you're developing them and creating this culture? Or any that just come to mind for you personally that you've learned from?
I definitely leverage podcasts in terms of like helping my personal professional development. So like I listen to a lot of HR podcasts just because I feel like those are really valuable and insight to how do we create a better team and what can we be doing, because at the end of the day the buck stops on us. So just really ensuring that we're doing what we need to be doing in terms of like human resources, business podcasts.
Fantastic. If anybody else has books and podcasts that they would like to recommend, throw them in the chat and everyone can maybe benefit from that. Um, there's a book that I love that our team actually went through together. It's called How to Lead, and it takes leaders from many different parts of society, whether that's government or business or military or media. And each one of them kind of talks through their leadership and what's important to them and how they lead and what they look for in potential in people. And it's an easy read. It's a big book, but it's an easy read because you can choose a leader and read those 10 pages versus having to read the continuous book from page 1 to page 300 or however many pages there are. But How to Lead, that's one that I have found that's been really helpful to my development. Other questions from the group? Yaicha, Michelle, other advice that you would share with the audience?
I think the biggest thing that I would like to share is just that sometimes we can get like wrapped up in like the day to day and the challenges, but as long as you're doing 1% better every day, we're making an improvement in our companies, our teams, our professional development. Just not focusing on the big stuff, just focusing on being a little bit better every day.
I love that. Continuous improvement, continuous development, continuous learning. And I love that 1% every day because it doesn't have to be the giant leaps. I mean, back to Michelle, what you shared, in your transition to becoming an owner in the business to the owner in the business, you started with a quarter of one share, right? And so it is that 1%, it's those small steps that eventually take us to the big milestone. So I love that focus on just, what's that one thing that you can set as a goal and then work toward that accomplishment as a foundation for doing greater things down the road. So that's
And it can
good.
feel overwhelming with all of the things that you want to accomplish. So we always set goals at the beginning of the year, and we might not feel like we're accomplishing that much. But then at the end of the year, when we look back, we're like, well, wow, we accomplished all of those things. And it was really hard, but we set those goals and
Yeah.
we were able to do it, even though now there's like a bunch of other things that we want to focus on, but we were able to accomplish those things. And you kind of can get lost in it from the day to day, but just those small steps.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I feel
Andrea,
like,
oh,
oh, sorry.
Michelle, please, no,
I was
go.
going to say, Yesh and I say this a lot, but like just focus on the things that you can control because throughout the day, the week, the month, a lot of things are happening, not just in our office, but in the world. And all of them affect us in some way or another. So just stay the course, focus on things that you can control and always work hard. We're like, if you are working hard when everyone else is worried about the economy or saying there's no business, you'll find it. I mean, it's just the consistency of doing it every day that will lead you to success.
Yeah, I love that. And then also putting that with what you both talked about is just the confidence. I mean, um, just believing that you can gives you that confidence, and then what you can accomplish because you believed that you could and because you demonstrated that confidence is very powerful. Andrea just put something in the chat. Our Wi-Fi SEAL program is based on books. It's a professional development program, but it's based on books by Lead Every Day. And there's a really great podcast, and she put the link in the chat if anyone is interested in checking those podcasts out. A great opportunity. Okay. Well, thank you both so much. I know, number one, it's hard sometimes to give up time in the middle of the day when you're running a business to take time out and just have this conversation, but it's been so insightful for me, and I know for the entire audience. I also know you both just came off trips and you're still, I'm sure, we know what it's like when you've been away and you come back and you're trying to get caught up on the day to day. And so I'm just so grateful to both of you for your time today, all of the insights that you've shared, and also just grateful to learn from you. You're both just an inspiration to me on a regular basis, and just love the opportunity to learn from you. So thank you both. for sharing today. And then thank you to our audience for participating. We have other power hours coming up. I mentioned the one later in August. You can find it on our website. And we'd love to hear your feedback. If you would just scan the QR code on your screen and give us your feedback, that helps us kind of craft future power hours and know what's important to you and what resonates. So please do give us your feedback on that. And we would love to encourage all of you to be a friend of Wi-Fi through a donation to the 501c3. And there you can see individual donations to be a friend of Wi-Fi, or they start as low as $15 a month. And then certainly, again, we're very grateful to our corporate donors as well. Thank you all so much for attending, and we'll look forward to seeing you at future Wi-Fi events.
Thank you.
Thank you.